Hello, everyone, and welcome to yet another of our weekly Catalyst meditations. And um, welcome to another um, explanation of our of the Catalyst meditation itself. I've been going through and looking at sections of it to make sure we're all on the same page with what we're doing. We have a goal. We have a trajectory. We have intentions. And I want to honor those by making sure that we're all on the same intention. The Catalyst meditation is very different, well, subtly but profoundly different from a regular meditation that you engage in because you want to expand your consciousness, you want to um, change your focus, you want to explore your being. All those things are great, but this is something that we are doing together. And by we, I mean those who are um, uh, interested in the course of our lives and interested in the course of our um, where our planet is going. And in that light, we're going to make a spotlight here. And I want to we talked about what we mean by all beings, and bringing all beings into the meditation. We talked about the energies that all of us bring, all trillions and trillions and trillions of beings, and bring to the meditation. How do we blend those energies? And now we're going to talk about setting some declarations. Because once we have all beings in the room, once we have all beings that in focus, we then have another issue. What are we going to do with that energy? Right now, humanity, just as one species on the trillions of species that are on this planet, we don't have a direction. We don't have a focus. We don't know what we're trying to do. Some of us know what we want to do, but we believe we can't do it. Some of us believe we can do it, but have no idea what we should do. Many of us have individualized and selfish goals, that our goals are I want to make more money, or I want to avoid some bad thing happening, or um, our goals are at that level, at the level of the personality, at the level of 3D reality. What's happening on the planet right now? What's happening in my neighborhood right now? What's happening in my own heart right now? Um, and so our goal is to elevate ourselves past those threshold intentions. Do we intend to live a different life? Do we intend to live a different life for all beings? Do we even believe that this is possible? I wear this button just about every day I remember. And I'm saying to the world that we are creating a world that works for all living beings. And I see people look at the button, realize there's something they've never seen before. They kind of crinkle up around it, and they think that then they will say to me, wow, that's kind of a good idea, and the seed has now been planted in one more human being. And as we reinforce that seed, as we reinforce our intentions in the world, it becomes stronger and stronger and stronger. Um, so creating a world that works for all has now become a meme, which means that people say it and they say it because other people are saying it. And many of them have no idea what they mean by it, which is why we have to be focused and clear what we mean by it. You know, when I put the button on, what does all beings mean? What does uh, creating a world mean? That we don't have any idea or any focus or any understanding of how we create the world. So what I did in setting the declarations and repeating the declarations for those of us who are doing the daily um, catalyst meditation, we repeat it so that it seeps into our bones, and we keep asking ourselves the question: do we believe that? Um, when I say all human beings, does that include people I am politically opposed to? Yeah. Does that mean people who act different from me? Yeah. Does that include people who look different from me? Yeah. And it includes a lot more than human beings. I was just rereading, and I will put in the goodie box for those of you who have accessed the outline, and you get to the end of the outline, then you find the goodie box. And if you haven't, there's lots of goodies in the goodie box. Um, I'll put in the goodie box Supreme Court Justice Douglas's dissent in the case of Sierra Club versus Morton. And this was a very famous case that Justice Douglas lost. And the case was very simple. Um, uh, the Sierra Club sued Secretary of the Interior or some government official about they were going to tear down the forest to make a ski resort. And the Sierra Club sued, and the plaintiff, the defendant said, you can't sue us. You don't have standing. And standing is a very simple case. I'm not going to give I can give you a law lecture right now, but that just means you can't go to court to bring the case against us. You don't have um uh you aren't harmed by anything, so you can't bring a case against us. Um and the majority of the Supreme Court agreed with them, and Justice Douglas, in his dissent, asked us a question. And he said, do trees have standing? Are trees harmed by our actions? And therefore, do they have the right to sue? And he said they really ought to. And the majority of the Supreme Court said, no, they don't. And that was the end of that. Okay. I'm saying more than that. Okay. We are saying more than that. That yes, if we're going to be cutting down an entire forest, that forest should have the right to say, no, this isn't a good idea, on the one hand. On the other hand, um, it shouldn't just be because you are harmed that you have standing, that you have the ability to do this. It should be that all of living things should be part of the same um, governing structure. So that when we say that we declare that Mother Earth is the ultimate governing principle, that the Earth herself and all of the elements of the Earth, which means everything that's alive, should have the ability to influence how we govern ourselves and how we govern our reality. Um, so when we say we declare that Mother Earth or Gaia is the ultimate governing principle, we're moving outside of the realm of human beings being the ultimate governing principle and saying, yes, we can govern, but everything else should govern also. And if we are in harmony, then that can happen. We are so far out away from harmony, we can't even conceive of all human beings having the ability to govern our behavior and govern our actions. We walk around talking about, mankind or humankind as though it's an abstract concept. And when we come face to face with other human beings that don't think like us, we call them all sorts of names. We call them jerks, etc., uh, idiots, etc., and you spice it up with a whole bunch of expletives and act like they live on a different planet. What we have to do is start recognizing that we can harmonize our consciousness. I can bring my consciousness in alignment, in oneness with other beings, with other living beings, starting with the tens of trillions of beings that are inside this body right now. I came across a interesting little video on YouTube the other day. And if I can remember it, I'll dig it out of my history and I'll put that in the goodie box also. But this guy was basically saying all the cells in all your cells in your body are individual beings, and that's true. And they're all listening to you right now. They get their messages from you, and they try to comply with those messages to the extent that we can understand them. And many times we don't understand that they're really listening. So when you say, I feel sick, they give you more sick. When you say, my knees hurt, they give you more knees hurting. This is a very literal situation. They're not making judgments. They're listening to your declarations. And when you say, I really feel better now, they help you feel better. When you say, I am operating at an optimal level, then they okay, let's get to work, and you're going to work at an optimal level. So our challenge um, becomes, uh, can we recognize ourselves as a colony? Can we recognize ourselves as a colony of trillions and trillions of beings with one purpose, with one focus? And then can we take this body and look at the other body right beside me? There isn't one right now. Um, and say, okay, we form a body, another body. That's when we start looking at beyond me as a colony. And believe me, all of the beings in your body, when they come into harmony, when they come into balance, you feel great, and that greatness expands out into the universe. At least to fill your room. hopefully filling in the entire universe. And then when it encounters another body, those two bodies or three bodies or 15 bodies or nine bodies on the call as of right now, um, they expand out into the universe and they come into harmony, which is the second of our declarations. We declare that humans are colony beings. We are a colony of beings, and we operate together for the good of the whole. Um, we deepen and expand our human murmurations or our human coming together. And I use the word murmuration because I think it's a cool word, but we need to come up with our own words for what the human colony looks like. As I've been talking about this, more and more people are saying, yeah, there are times when I can feel it. I can feel, connected to and one with others. There are times when we act that way and we can see each other acting that way. Look at what human beings do in an earthquake. As soon as the earth stops shaking, and sometimes even while it's still shaking, we move into the mode of, I will help all other beings that I can help. Um, I'm going to help other beings regardless of their status. Um, no one goes through an earthquake saying, I'm only helping Republicans. Um, something calls on us, and it calls on us right here in our hearts. And we start listening to our hearts, and our hearts will tell us the right thing to do. As always, it's just that for most of us, we don't bother listening. But it doesn't take an earthquake to do that. We do that all the time unless we are so disturbed that we bring our disturbance into the field of how we interact with others. Um, Another part of this declaration that we make, that we will be making in a few minutes, actually, another part of the declaration is that we're creating a new political and economic system. Now, people ask me, why am I not active regarding the current political situation that we're in? And my answer is, I'm very active. I'm active in a way that's actually going to resolve our conflicts as opposed to um, pick one side or another in a conflict where neither side has a view on what we should be doing. um, there are lots and lots of folks out there saying we need a new political system. Lots and lots of folks out there saying we need a new economic system. Most of them, as soon as those words come out of their mouths, they go right back to the old system. Oh, we need to reform capitalism. We need to reform socialism. We need to um, limit the number of electors in the electoral college. We need to get rid of the electoral college. And all that stuff is at the problems level. The question is, in this deep cataclysm that we're about to undergo, what is the nature of the system that we are intending? What is it that's calling right here at our hearts that many of us don't believe is possible, or we're afraid to voice what this possibility is? We shy away from it because It's so big. So the what I am articulating, and y'all can, I mean, okay, this is my articulation. I put down 5 or 6 points. You may have 3 or 4 your own points. If you've got access to the outline, you can put them in there. I'll take a look. We'll take a look. If you don't have access, send me an email. So these are the points that I think are important. I think it's important to create an political and economic system that all beings can participate in. So we don't have a question as to whether this being has standing or not, or whether this being is a citizen or not. That all beings, if they're on Mother Earth, we're part of the same family. That we're creating a political and economic system that all beings are in relationship with. This is a relational situation. It's not, oh, that's the opposition. We can ignore them. It's that, no, all of us need to be considered. That all beings own it. And right now we know who owns our economic system. It ain't you. And I can say that through just about 8.9 billion human beings that are impacted by the system, but don't own it in any way, shape, or form. That all beings benefit from the system that we are creating. And how many people don't benefit from it? How many people even think they benefit from it and actually in reality they don't? How many people actually vote against their own best interests because somebody told them something that said, you should think about things this way? All beings govern it. So by moving in a particular direction, by holding a particular point of view, we are all part of the governing structure for the political and economic system of Gaia. And we all do all of these things for the common good, not just for Sharif. Although that maybe that wouldn't be too bad. It's all of you just do everything that I want you to do. Um, okay, and that's for those of you who don't know me, and there are folks on the line who don't know me. That's called a joke. I don't think that a system of just me would be a really good idea. That we are creating a system. We are co-creating a system that all benefit from. Now, if you believe that that's not possible, if you believe that that's not a goal, then I'm inviting you when we go into the meditation to hold the energy, hold the concept, hold the possibility that all of us can do this and can act in a way that is working for all. I'll tell you a real quick story, and then it's time for us to switch gears into our catalyst meditation. Lived in a section of town where I wound up living in a really big house that everybody knew my house. It was the big white house. And in front of the big white house, there was this huge cedar tree. And that cedar tree was fairly famous. Um, if you looked on a Landsat photo, um, you could see different kinds of vegetation was colored in different ways. And this particular tree had a a signature. So you can see that there was one um, element of the Landsat map that had the cedar tree. And the next owner of the house cut down the tree. Now, this tree had been there for 100 years. It was an anchor to the whole neighborhood. There were beings, many beings living in this tree, raccoons, possums, etc. Um, but the owner cut the tree down because they could do so. And this is what I'm talking about in terms of having a declaration of working for the common good, not just for the good of one being. Okay, so we got people coming in for the catalyst meditation. As I say before, this was a monologue, not a dialogue. The dialogue happens in half an hour when we get done with our catalyst meditation.